Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're starting now. בשעה טובה ומוצלחת. פרק ב', פסוק א', משלי. בני, my son, אם תיקח אמריי, if you take my words, if you accept my word, if you take my lessons, my words, ומצוותיי, תצפון איתך, and my mitzvot, my commandments, you hold on like a treasure, right? You put in like in a safe. That spin is you hide it in a safe place. להקשיב לחוכמה אוזניך. If you make your ear attentive, if you're attentive to the חוכמה, תטה ליבך לתבונה, and you tilt your heart, your mind. ליבך is your mind, your heart, but לתבונה, to wisdom. לתבונה, okay. לתבונה, it's מלשון בינה.
Understand.
Yes. So the chokhmah is the knowledge, and the תטה ליבך לתבונה, you tilt, you mean you align, you direct your heart to wisdom. כי אם לבינה תקרא לתבונה, if you call, אם תקרא, אם לבינה תקרא, if you call understanding, wisdom, לתבונה תיתן קולך, and you cry out loud to acquire the tevuna, right? And we're going to understand what's the difference between bina and tevuna. The tevuna is the practical, the actionable implementation of the bina. If you ask for it, you ask for the Torah, for the Chokhmah, like money, like silver, and you look for it, like you look for coins, like for hidden coins. As Tavin Yirat Hashem, only then will you understand, will you grasp the fear of Hashem, the Da'at Elokim, and the da'at, the understanding, the acknowledgement, the comprehension of Hashem, of Elokim Timsar, you will find. Elokim, we know that here. So Yirat Hashem is Havaya. Da'at Elokim is the Baal Kol HaKochot Kulam, is the source of all power, right? Is Hashem's revelation through the power of nature. And then he continues, Ki Hashem yiten chokhmah. So let's go back to the first pasuk. Beni im tikach amarai, my son, if you take my words, umitzvotai tzipon itach, and you hold on, and you protect, you put in a safe place. So my mitzvot. So there's two things here. There is to take the words, and then there is to hide and protect the mitzvot. So the words are the limud Torah, and the mitzvot is the actions of the Torah. So you have to take on with you the learning, but you have to consolidate, cherish, value, and keep in a safe place in your heart the actions, the mitzvah. So the Gaon explains, Ki Torah tzarich adam lilmod tamid, yomam v'layla. Torah you learn all the time. And the time to learn Torah is all the time. There is no specific time to learn Torah. This is why he said, Tikach, take with you. Hold on. Carry with you. When you hold on to something, you carry something, you carry it with you all the time, meaning it's in your hand, it's accessible, right? When you carry something with your hands, it's always accessible. And you feel that you're carrying it. You're feeling that it's in your hand. You're feeling the weight of it. However, the mitzvotai titzpon itach. When you conclude and you bring to a practical, actionable mitzvah what you learn, you don't make the mitzvah all the time. The mitzvah, it's when it comes to you. Whether it's chesed, whether it's tefillin, whether it's a matzah, whether it's a lulav, whether it's a shiluach hakan, whatever the mitzvah is, it has the knowledge of it and it has the action of it. Says Shlomo HaMelech, what you learn, you have to keep learning all the time. All the time. Meaning the knowledge, the limud, the accessibility to knowledge, the accessibility to learning Torah should be independent of zemanim, of specific moments. It has to be aligned with time, with your time. Not specific. Chachamim tell us, kovea itim la Torah. You have to be kovea. You have to have specific times where you actually learn Torah, and it's kavua. Yes, this is the anchor, but this is not the mitzvah of limud Torah. The mitzvah of limud Torah is all the time. So, which is extremely important when you think about what what Shlomo HaMelech is coming to teach us. If you make the limud Torah specific to a zman, to a hazmana, right? Zman is a specific moment in time. Then it's no longer limud Torah. It's no longer the dimension of limud Torah. You lose in its magnitude and you lose in its influence because you narrow it down in a bracket of time. You're now turning air that you breathe all the time, that needs to be accessible all the time, into food or water. So that can no longer give you the source of life that air is supposed to give you. So the outlook of the limud should never be specific or limited. It has to be as valuable as air to the neshama and as accessible as air to the body for the neshama. And that's tikach, take with you all the time. Now, the limud must have, at the end of it, a concise conclusion that can be practical, that can be implemented. That is the mitzvah. That actionable mitzvah, when you learn it, you might not apply it right at this moment. So you need to cherish it, give it a level of importance, in order for you to hold on to it tight, keep it in your safe, and have it accessible when the time comes.
Doesn't David HaMelech say, Sha'o Shu'ai? He used the Torah like a toy.
Like a toy.
Like anytime he had it, he picked it up. Whenever any moment he had, he picked up the Torah like a toy.
It's so
like a child with a toy.
So the toy aspect or dimension of the Torah is different. The toy aspect of the Torah is how emotionally excited and attached you are to the Torah.
Like a toddler with a toy.
Yes, from an emotional aspect, right? It should be an excitement, and it should be intriguing and captivating, like a toy to a child. Here, Shlomo HaMelech is giving you another dimension of the limud. He's telling you the limud take with you all the time because it is aligned with time. It never stops. Yomam v'layla, right? Ve'agita bo yomam v'layla. You learn during the day, you learn during night. There's no time where you don't learn. So, and this is how you have to look at the limud. This is how you have to look at the source of knowledge. And if you look at this like that, suddenly you understand that it is exactly like a vector of time or air, something that's always accessible and needed at all time to live. If we cut the time, there's no more life. If you cut oxygen, the person dies. There is no, you cannot say I breathe between 120 and 123, or only in the morning, or only at night. Time doesn't belong just to a specific moment. Says Shlomo HaMelech, this is Limud Torah. The moment, what is Shlomo HaMelech implying? The moment you choke and limit Limud Torah to a specific time, you annul its influence and its power and its source of life to your neshama. So the approach to the Limud Torah has to be clear. That's how he starts. And only then, but then you can get lost with the Limudim, right? Because Limud and Sofi, Nachon. But after every lesson, there is a practical outcome. You love that, Andy, right? After each chapter, okay, Tachlis, Lemaise, what do I bring home? How do I apply this? How do I implement? Shlomo HaMelech, after every learning, Beni, my son, like, yes. Im tikach amarai, umitzvotai tisponitach, right? Asta b'nirat Hashem, that we're going to get to that. That right now, it's if. I'm giving you the prerequisites to gadlut, to greatness. If your approach to the Limud Torah is an approach that is, and it's essential to you, like air is, and it's vital to you, and you're dependent to it just like time is to your existence. And after all your learning, you go down to the practical level and you bring down actionable mitzvot, lessons, and you don't just keep it in your back burner. Mitzvot is sponitach. You carry it with you. You keep it inside in a safe, just like where you would carry your jewels. Everybody that has a safe knows what's in the safe. Everybody. Nobody has a safe and doesn't know what's in there. You might forget it because you didn't go for a long time, right? But it takes a few moments to remember. Oh, 1 second, I opened the safe. I know this jewel, this, that, right? The inventory is in the head, even though you're not thinking about it all the time. So the actionable mitzvah, after your learning, has to be kept with that level of importance and accountability. Yes.
What would be the definition of limud Torah in this sense? Because you are walking, you see a tree, and you should say, "Uy, Baruch Hashem, how nice what Hashem does," and you try to learn from nature, or limud that's sitting and studying day and night with a book?
It's both. It's both. Knowledge, limud Torah, right, is the source of knowledge of the Torah. It could be right? From my flesh, I can reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I learned, like Eov says, right? Or like Rabbi Yerucham says about Yaakov Avinu, Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim, which is he set in two Ohalim, in plurals, in two tents, in many tents. And Rabbi Yerucham tells us that it means not only in yeshiva, but everywhere he went, every experience was another tent, was another yeshiva, right? So it's both. So you have that, and then you have the Limud Torah. Now, not everything you learn or you get inspired with,
but you have to have it in the mind all the day.
Okay, right. This, yes, but not all of it come down to a practical and actionable mitzvah.
Okay. Try to think Torah all day on everything you do.
Right.
It says in the Gemara, right? The tzaddikim don't go 4 amot without having a thought of Torah.
Dvar halacha. Okay. Dvar halacha, nachon.
So that's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. You go on, you're in the car, the Torah, you carry the Torah with you. You carry the Torah with you. You actually never leave the yeshiva. The yeshiva comes out with you. But again, it's an outlook. It's a perspective. That is very different than what people are aware of today or even relate to Torah today. Today you have Koveitim la Torah. Today it's like, I'm so busy, but I need to make time for limud.
Yeah, it's business is business and Moses is Moses. That's the opposite of that.
That exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. It's like I'm busy with Torah all day long, but I have to stop because I have to have a meeting, or I have to stop because I have to maybe with parnes, right? The Or HaChaim HaKadosh alav shalom, he used to sow gold, right? And he used to read Dapei Gemara and Bigores. He used to learn while he was sowing. And when he finished, he got his money, he got his parnasa. He's like, okay, I finished now. Let me go back to learning. I got my parnasa for this week. There's a famous story where that the Sultan needed a big work and he didn't want to take it, and he was thrown in the pit with lions, and the lions bowed to him and didn't want to touch him. And then the Sultan realized how great the Or HaChaim HaKadosh was, Rabbi Chaim ben Atar, and took him out and glorified with coins of gold and blah blah blah. What do we? It's all about the gisha, the outlook. So Shlomo HaMelech here sets the tone. First, you're immersed in a world of limud Torah, of knowledge. Meaning you need to be ready to absorb. Your sensors have to be on to always grasp knowledge, always grasp Torah. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to you all the time. And if you are on and your sensors are turned on and are open to receive Chokhmah, then you become a sponge, right? Every opportunity is another opportunity for Hashem to speak to you and for you to grow. So you're a living neshama that keeps on growing and developing itself all the time. Versus someone that's put in the closet and the neshama is turned on and off an hour a day or twice a week by a shiur or blah blah blah. Good. Nachon. That's exactly the pshat. That's exactly you can put the Shlomo HaMelech in that pshat. Ki hem chayenu. It's mamash chayim, and chayim doesn't stop. You go to sleep, you breathe. You wake up, you breathe. The definition of chayim is Torah. The definition of Torah is chayim. Ubehem nehege yomam v'layla. Nehaga'a b'Torah yomam v'layla. That's exactly it. It's interesting that we make that statement every night, but nobody really. We do Arvit every night. Okay. And then okay, I gave my 30 minutes to Limud Torah.
It's true.
So this is the starting point of all the blessings that Shlomo Melech will reveal to us in this parak. So right? If Beni, my son means what I'm about to tell you might hurt you, but I'm telling it to you because I love you, and I will not hold back from teaching you the real way. That is the introduction of Beni, my son. A son, how do you recognize that the son is the son of a father? If you're in shul, like the Balei Hasidut, things about Shem Tov, or the Rabbi Yitzchak Berlishon, he said, if you see someone slapping a boy in shul, then you know that that's the father. Because if it's not the father, no other man will slap the boy because nobody cares. So Beni, my son, is like, I'm here, I will not let you go, and I will teach you the hard way, and I will not hold back because I love you. Im tikach hamarai, right? If you carry with you all the time my words, that's the definition of Limud Torah, says the Gaon, all the time. Umitzvotai tispon, and you bring every limud, everything you learn, you consolidate it to an actionable mitzvah, and you hold it.
Titzpon is to hold?
No, titzpon, it's to hide, to
protect.
Yes, spin, it's to hide, to protect, to put in a safe place, to put in a box. Itach, with you. So there is the outlook of Limud Torah. There is the Limud Torah, my Amarai, my words. And by the way, it's not Diborotai. It's not Belashon Dibur, Belashon Amira. So my words of Torah, the Limud Torah has to be sweet, like Vayomer and not like Vaidaber. Umitzvotai, and my mitzvot, Titzponitach, you carry with you hidden, right, in a safe place. So that means that after the limud, there's the outlook of the limud. There is the limud. There is the nature of the limud, which is amarai, which is sweet. And then there is the practical learning, conclusion of your limud, which is the mitzvah. And then there is the categorization of the mitzvah and its importance for it to be well identified and applicable when the time comes. The 5 steps in this pasuk. Lehakshiv, good. Next pasuk, bet. Lehakshiv lachochma oznecha. Now again, lehakshiv, to pay attention. La chochma oznecha. If you know, lehakshiv is when if you make your ear, you put your ear, and you
become inclined.
You incline your ear in order to listen. That means you care, you're attentive to the chochma. And you incline, you direct your heart to the tevuna. So says the Gaon Mivilna, First of all, there is lakshiv, to pay attention, right? Lakshiv oznecha, put your ear, and then there is to guide, to align, to direct your heart. So we have the ozen, we have the ear, and we have the heart. And then we have chokhmah, and then we have tevuna. So says the Gaon, b'chokhmah hem shnei devarim. Chokhmah is broken down into two things. Chokhmah is what you get from your Rebbe. It's what you learn. So the chokhmah is not something you acquire on your own. It's what you receive from a source, a bigger source of chokhmah. So lehakshiv oznecha, lehakshiv lachokhmah oznecha, pay attention, right? Tilt your ear to the chokhmah, meaning make yourself humble yourself to be a receiver if you want to acquire chokhmah. Knowledge is what you can only receive it and be open to it and internalize it if you are humble and you are willing to receive. Tateli bechala tevuna. Now, tevuna, we say it's Lamshon bina, right? It's understanding. Now it's processing the information you received from your master. Is what you do with it.
Not changing it.
Says the Gaon something nifla. He says the tevuna sits between the chokhmah and the bina. The bina is the hardcore definition of analysis. It's taking the chokhmah and breaking it down so that you can master it and now rebuild what you've learned to get to the dot, to a practical implementation in your own way, in your own existence, with your signature on it. Tevuna is taking the chokhmah, taking the information, and processing it in an intellectual, analytical way to make sure you know it and understand it perfectly before you break it down to implement it in your own life. So we have the anava. We have, when you put your ear, you tilt your ear, by default, naturally, when you listen, you bow a little bit. When you're makshiv, you say, I didn't hear. What? You don't know. You don't say, I didn't hear. You say, I didn't hear. Your head goes a little bit down. Instinctively, you need to bow a little bit. Meaning you have to be submissive. No. Or submissive, anav, humble, in order to receive the chokhmah. That's number one. Then you receive the chokhmah, number two. Then there is the tevuna. Tate libecha la tevuna. Now put your heart and align your heart in order to be able to acquire the tevuna, to use the tevuna, right? So Tateli Becha is let go of what your heart think it knows.
So your desires,
your knowledge, what you think you know, your ego to a certain extent, your negiot, in order to be able to understand until the end what your master is teaching, just taught you. So it will give you the ability, if your heart, if your own ego, what you think you understood doesn't get in the way, you are now impartial and objective to take the knowledge that you received and analyze it properly from every angle to make sure that you master what was taught. Only then, I'm sorry?
You're free to understand.
Exactly. Only then can you get to the Binah, which is breaking it down now, completely in your own way, in order to rebuild it into something that is yours, which is a da'at and now applicable to your life. So there is the anava that leads to receive the chokhmah, and then there is freeing yourself from your existence, from what limits you, from what defines you, in order to be able to tackle down the chokhmah and really make sure you understand it properly.
Practically speaking, how do you do that? How do you break your natural or fabricated desires, right?
But it's very good. When you learn a lesson, right? Instinctively, you think you understood it one way. This is with your heart, in your own direction. But if you start aligning yourself with the chokhmah, and you say, one second, forget about mina, forget about what I think I understood.
My perspective
of things. Let me think about what is being taught to me. You're going to see that there's different layers of messages, much deeper than what you understood. And it says like this, when you learn Rashi, open a Rashi, learn the Rashi, you're going to see that between the first understanding of Rashi and the third, fourth understanding of Rashi, you're going to see that it's a completely different Rashi. You learn the Gemara, you understand it one way.
And the Tosfot comes in.
And then Tosfot comes in, and the Rashi comes in, and the Rashba comes in, and then you're like, whoa, 1 second, I was completely off. This is not what the Gemara said, but it's the same words. You're going to read the same words again, and suddenly you start seeing that there's life hidden behind those words that you didn't see originally.
But how is there so many different commentaries of the same words of the Torah if they don't have any of their own tilt on it?
But no, what you get afterwards is their dot. After that, the dot is very specific to each individual. The dot is your signature. That's why it's called da'at Torah, right? The chokhmat Torah is universal. The tevuna is your ability to process that knowledge. The bina is your ability to break it down, right? So you have people that can break it down to a resolution of 4K, and you have people that can break it down to a resolution of Oleg, I don't know what. And you have people that can break it down to a resolution of 1K or 726 by 1028, or whatever it was at the time. Depending on how pure your heart is, on your actions, on how holy you are, on how much you learn. Good?
Yeah.
And then, based on all this, you will come to a dot, to an applicable knowledge. And that's the difference between da'at and da'at Torah and da'at gedolei Torah, etc.
That's why there's shivim panim Torah.
That's right. Like
the chokhmah is universal. The da'at is where it can be.
It becomes personal.
Personal and
exactly.
Baruch Hashem, we are back.
He throws in here a concept that a Kabbalistic concept that Chokhmah it's a Chaim, but maybe we're not going to touch on it because it's in Shara Kavanot. Mechila, in Etz Chaim, the Chokhmah is called Israel Saba. So we're not going to touch it because there's no concept on that. But the bottom line is just that where it sits in the constellation of the Sefirot, the Partsufim. If you recall, there's Yaakov and there's Israel Saba, right? There's the Chokhmah, which is the Panim and the Achor, right? So meaning the Chokhmah is the Panim, the Tevuna is the Achor of the Chokhmah before it becomes Bina, because before it becomes the Ima,
Wow.
Ilah.
Ab, Ima.
That's right. I think that
Spectacular.
I think we're going to stop here.
Do you want to finish the 5?
So 5 is going to be heavy, because the night
Okay.
is spectacular. Is a long one.
Okay.
Let's do one more pasuk, if you have time. Yeah.
We're learning
כי אם לבינה תקרא, no, I don't know. כי אם לבינה, if you read, or you call, אם לבינה תקרא, because if you read the bina, or you call the bina, לקרוא, תקרא can be to call, but it means also to read. לתבונה תיתן קולך, give your voice, meaning bring your voice, speak out loud, use your loud voice to the tevuna. Says the Gaon, says Shlomo Melech, if you really want to get to the bottom of things, to the bina, etc. He says, what is bina? Bina, זה להבין דבר מתוך דבר. Right? You read something, but you deduct, you conclude other lessons, right? It's what you learn from what's not written, but what's implied in what you are taught. So the chokhmah is the knowledge, the information. Says the Gaon, if you really want to be able to break down that information after you have mastered it with the tevuna and turn it into bina and use your bina, right, to break down the information to the highest possible resolution, says the Gaon, you have to read. Meaning you have to be in touch with the text. You have to be able to convert an idea, a source of knowledge, into a practical version, a readable version, into the words, because it's through those words that you will be able to dive into its chokhmah. Meaning, when somebody tells you something, you absorb it, but you absorb what you heard. There is another dimension in reading yourself. Because when you read something, you grasp nuances that you cannot catch when you hear. Ki im labina tikra. When you're taught something, essentially it's limited to what you've heard, or what you think you've heard. So everything you're going to be able to learn from it, or all the conclusions you will make, it's essentially based on what your intellect, your ear, your mind grasped at that moment.
Right. Went through the processing.
Through the process. So you're limited to it. When you read what you've learned,
Get the whole thing.
At that moment, you can actually analyze and dive deeper. So now you can conclude and bring out much more knowledge. And it says the Gaon, when you read with your mouth, meaning it's not only reading, but it's reading out loud. When you learn Gemara, when you learn Torah, it's not enough to hear a shiur or hear, the Daf Yomi. Yes, it's true. You're going to get a version. You're going to get the version that was taught and that you heard. So that it's already diluted.
Through their bina.
And yours.
Yes, so it's two steps removed.
So you're already, exactly, you're 2 steps away from the source. So you're very limited to what you can actually implement and action on. So says the Gaon, if you really, really, really want the full version, make sure that you read, and you read out loud. La tevuna titen kolecha. Says now the Gaon, he said the same way we found tevuna in Chokhmah, which is the ability to use the Bina to break down what you've learned in its entity and its fullness, so that to make sure you grasp it perfectly before you break it down to make something else out of it, right? He says the same thing there is in the Bina. There's also in the Bina tevuna, because the tevuna sits between the Chokhmah and the Bina. So by default, it kisses, it touches both. It touches the Chokhmah, it rubs the Chokhmah, and it rubs the Bina. So the same way, says the Gaon, use that ability in the Bina, that when you're going to start breaking it down, and you're going to read, right, the text, and you're going to start recategorizing what you learned based on the text, not just based on what you heard. Use this ability through a clean heart to now break down what you've broken down, right? You take the Bina, you break it down, but now make sure that when you broke it down, it's well synthesized, well understood, categorized, identified, clear. Because this is how you will master the Bina and get to an accurate da'at. Now, when you get to the halacha, when an action that you can make, it's clean, it's pure, it's correct, it's well organized. This is why the best way to learn halacha is to learn the Gemara, to learn the thought process. Because if you know well Divrei Chachamim, you know the Pesukim well, you know the Gemarot well, you know the halacha, what's written in the halacha, you'll get to it on your own if you learn well.
Not just what's the halacha.
All the halacha is good because you need to know what to do. But if you want to master the halacha, you have to know the whole process.
Like we said earlier in the pasuk, right? The mitzvot in their time.
That's
Halacha
right.
In their time.
That's right.
But the Torah, the
it's
process,
all the time. That's right. That's right. That's right. And then he brings an example. He says that the Tvuna is like the Vav HaHibur, Uminatzon, Lema'et et Hanogea. The Gemara, he brings the drasha. How do the Chachamim learn that from the word, the Vav of Uminatzon, right? The Torah excludes the Nogeach, the Tzon, meaning the ox that actually already hurt with its horns. And he says the Tevuna in Bina requires much more effort, concentration, and focus than the Tevuna in the Chokhmah. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. It's logical, because it's one thing to make sure you grasp what you've learned in its entity properly, and it's another thing to start grasping and making sure that what you broke down, you broke it down properly and categorize it better and properly. Correct? So now the work is on a much higher resolution, and there's much more pieces. And you need to make sure that every piece of the knowledge that you broken down, you understood perfectly. And that piece is actually cohesive with the other piece that you've broken, that you separated in the Chokhmah, right? So the work of the Tevuna in the Bina requires much more effort. So he says, this is why La Tevuna titen kolecha, give your voice, meaning your effort, your speech, your call, your voice that you're going to be using to discuss, use it for the Tevuna, because that's where you need it the most. Don't use it for the Chokhmah. The Chokhmah could still stay in your mind. The Tevuna of the Chokhmah can stay in your mind. But once you start using the Bina, breaking it out, you need to speak it out. But the length of speech and where you're going to use your speech much more than for the rest, you're going to use it for the Tevuna in the Bina. Because that's what will help you really making sure that you broke down your analysis properly, and it actually makes sense. It holds the road. It's not going to be mitparer.
That's why teaching is so much greater than learning, because it shows you understand it clearly.
Correct. You cannot,
give over the information.
Exactly. You
can receive it.
Correct.
Can you give it over?
Exactly. You can only, if you cannot say it, you don't know it.
For sure.
What time tomorrow?
And he finishes with this. I'm sorry. And he finishes by saying the shoresh, the real power of the Tevuna, let's not make a mistake, comes from the Bina, is inside the Bina. It's really revealed in the Bina. The root of the Tevuna that sits between the Chokhmah and the Bina, right? This ability to understand perfectly and categorizing it properly and grasping it properly, the Tevuna, right? Its root, its inception, its essence is in the Bina.
In the process.
Is in the actual Bina, in the power of Bina, which is the analysis. Process. Right. It's used in the Chokhmah, and it's applicable in the Chokhmah, but essentially its core essence is in the Bina.
But does the Chokhmah give you that process?
The Chokhmah is the knowledge.
Right. But you can't acquire the Bina without the Chokhmah, can you?
No, it's two different
things.
Things here, it's two different vectors. Chokhmah is absorbing knowledge, right? So you hear a lesson, or you're like from Choma is what you receive from above, right? What you see from your master, what you receive from your Rebbe. Now, I received this information, not now. The more you are impartial and you are open and you are clear, and the more you will take that information in an objective way and not distort it when you hear it. That's one thing. That's Chokhmah.
Right.
That's Chokhmah. Then there is making sure that what you heard, what you received, you actually understood it perfectly. Right. That's the tevuna in Chokhmah.
Right.
But that ability, its root is in the Binah.
Sit somewhere else.
Because now what you do, after you grasped it perfectly, understood it correctly, now you're going to start breaking it down and narrowing it down and reorganizing it. That's the Binah. Now, once you've done that, you need to make sure that you did right. And when the way you broke it down was accurate, and what you've learned from it is perfect, is good, is real, is emet, and that's the tevuna in the Binah. And this requires to speak it loud, to address it, to share it.
It's the practice of it.
It's the practice, the intellectual practice of it, because the physical practice of it is the da'at.
Right.
Is the intellectual practice of it. This is how we need to use our mind, our heart, and our mouth, and our ears, if we want all those evarim, all those organs that we were given to be for the chokhmah, for the neshama, to be holy. The speech, it needs to be essentially used for clarification, for categorization and understanding, deep understanding of the Binah, of what we bring out of what we were taught. The heart has to be aligned with the Chokhmah to make sure that it's open and it's clear and it's not interfering with what I'm being taught.
Clean vessel.
Clean vessel. And the ozen and the ear has to be humbled, meaning that it has to be ready to receive the Chokhmah. That's from bottom to top. Yes, Andy.
It's like some people use the Torah and the Chokhmah and they use it in wrong ways. They don't put the Binah.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
they keep the name of the Torah and they do crazy things.
Exactly. Or they say, oh, the Rambam said. We know that very well. It's Kadma Torah. Yeah, they take you a line and they twist it completely. Yes, nachon. It's because their heart wasn't there. They didn't use the tevuna.
The key, the Binah. The key to use it.
The key first. The real key is to have anava in order to receive the chokhmah objectively and intact. Because once you absorb it properly, then you're right. Then you need the binah, because the binah will know how to process it.
If that does not come pure, you're in trouble.
If already when you hear it, it's all crooked.
The input is not right, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
Chazak Baruch.
Bezrat Hashem.
Okay. Tell me tomorrow.
Huh?
Tomorrow, Friday, what do we do?